What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of J&DN Survives. That's Brandon. I'm Jacob. We got a lot of action talking about. Football is getting much closer, and by saying that, the NFL regular season schedule has been released for all the teams. We're not going to go too in-depth into what we got going on, but we also have all the Sunday night matchups. Before we get into that, let's see. Primetime games in the 2025 season. Kansas City's at 7. They have the most.
Yeah.
I think that's subject to change. Brandon and I both believe. We feel like we might be up the game or two, possibility, depending on what goes on. Cowboys have 6. The Bills, Dolphins, Falcons, Lions, Eagles, Commanders, Chargers, Niners, 5. Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, Texans, Broncos, Packers, Vikings, Bucks, Rams, Seahawks, 4. Giants, Raiders, Patriots, Bears, 3. The Jets and Cardinals, 2. The Colts, Jags, and Panthers, 1. Then there's the Browns, Titans, and Saints. No primetime games, which I think is actually kind of insane considering picks 1 and 2 have not picks 1 and 2 because Travis Hunter is a Jacksonville Jaguar, but no primetime games for the Browns. Cam Ward, who was the number 1 overall pick, no primetime games for the Tennessee Titans, and then nobody gives a fuck about the Saints. Excuse me, but sorry, Saints fans. But so those are the primetime games. The Sunday night matchups, for the most part, I'm not mad at the Sunday night matchups we got. Again, we're going to get a little bit more to this as we get a little bit closer to the season. Brandon's got the Monday night matchups, which he's cool with. The Thursday night games that are on Prime, they have potential, but it's really going to determine how they look as the season goes along.
Yeah.
So we'll have to really see how that goes. Let's see. Is there any? There's a couple Friday games. Isn't there? Is there Friday games?
There's a Black Friday.
There's a Black Friday game.
Friday on Thanksgiving.
For our Kansas City Chiefs, is really cool. We're playing on Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. We got the Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
They fucked. And then we got the Broncos on Christmas. Which you're not going to say the Broncos are fucked because it's a division game. Those games are always going to be tight. But I think that's pretty cool that we get Thanksgiving and Christmas.
What's the first time first time in 30 years that the Chiefs get to play on Thanksgiving? I'm like,
I've been advocating for us to get on.
You've been alive longer than the Chiefs. You've been alive since way longer than the Chiefs have never been allowed to play.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
You've never seen it in your lifetime, is what I'm saying.
I think you also got like Packers.
You got the Packers and Lions at noon. The Chiefs Cowboys got the 3:30 game, and then you get the Bengals and Ravens for the night, and then Black Friday, which is what the Chiefs I think had last year.
Last year, yeah.
Is the Bears at the defending Super Bowl champs Eagles.
We got some good games this year. Like I said, football is getting closer. It's getting exciting. We're not trying to get too ahead of ourselves now, but strength of schedule came out. Top 5 for the hardest and top 5 for the easiest. We're going to start on the easiest side. At number 5, the Buffalo Bills have the 5th easiest schedule. For them, that's not bad considering, all things considered. Again, this is just speculation, just based off of who their opponents are. Not saying that
it's based off of everybody's record from last year. It really is based off because you play your division. You have 6 games in your division.
Yeah.
In their division last year, they all boasted a bad record. So it just looks a lot better than what it really is. I don't think they really have that easy of a schedule when you consider they have to face the Patriots with Mike Vrabel as their head coach.
Yep.
And then they have the Dolphins if Tua can stay healthy. And, they have less drama there on offense. They'll be a formidable foe. And then the Jets, with no Aaron Rodgers, is going to be a hard knock as well. I think Justin Fields is going to be quite well there. I think we all kind of agree. But that's what happens with that defense. It's going to be rejuvenated with a new, I guess it's a DC that went there from the Lions. So, again, the Jets are going to be a hard out as well. So, I don't think it's going to be a slouch for them to – I think they'll win their division easy. Not easy, but they'll take the division. But it's really based off your division. Like the Chiefs division, our strength schedule is about mid of the pack. That's because our division, we play the Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos.
Yep.
That's 6 games there. And it's all based off the wins and losses, really.
Absolutely. The Atlanta Falcons have the 4th easiest schedule. I'll be curious to see what the Falcons look like this year, man. I really am. Last year, very up and down.
They are. Who are we getting? Michael Penix Jr. or are we getting Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins is going to be on the Falcons. He's getting traded.
That's true.
I think we see a lot more closer to training camp.
The New Orleans Saints have the third easiest schedule.
Well, before we get too far on that,
speaking of the Saints,
let's go ahead and touch on Derrick Carr. If y'all didn't know, he retired, shoulder injury. I already retired. I got a bad shoulder. I feel it. I feel you.
Which I think is also funny because when people were tweeting out and speculating on his injury, he came out and was talking about people don't know what they're talking about. They need to keep their mouths quiet. And then you end up retiring because of the injury, and it kind of just made you really look like an idiot.
I don't think so. I disagree. I think it was more with the people acting like the organization didn't know what was going on. The organization knew they had an injury, so I kind of disagree. But he got $2 million as a roster bonus. He's keeping that, but he will be foregoing $30 million this year by retiring. And so really, it won't be helping him this year, but in the next year's following cap, that's going to free up $30 million for the Saints, which they desperately need because they're always over the cap.
Think about this. Derek Carr retires with the most passing yards in NFL history without a playoff win at 41,245 yards. And get this, Derek Carr only played in one playoff game, and that was in 2022, and he lost to the Bengals. Think about that.
I just know the Carr brothers were overhyped. But one of the Carr brothers have a Super Bowl ring.
No, well, you're not wrong.
So,
but like I said, the Saints have the third easiest schedule. Even though it's an easy schedule for them, it's still going to be a bad year for them personally.
You think it's going to be a bad year for them?
Who the fuck's the quarterback? That 26.
Well, I mean, like Michael Penix Jr. is the quarterback.
Saints.
Oh, Saints.
Saints are the third.
Oh, yeah.
They're in trouble. And then the second easiest schedule, the New England Patriots. I'll be very curious if they look like under Mike Vrabel. It's going to be interesting. Because again, Brandon and I both feel more like Brandon. Mike Vrabel, what have you really proved? We got to see it. You basically got a one-year head coach fired in Mayo because you wanted the Patriots job, and Robert Kraft's like, I got to get Mike Vrabel. So a lot of pressure on Mike Vrabel, in our personal opinion.
Yeah.
In year one, and then the San Francisco 49ers have the easiest schedule of the NFL this year. I mean, for them,
they're going to look really good this year. They've got Brock Purdy. If he doesn't get paid this offseason, he's getting paid next season. He's going to look good. Whether how whoever they have offensively out there as weapons for him, he's going to look good because they're going to be going against bad teams. In this case scenario, it's not because the division is bad. The division is actually quite good. It's just you're kidding the bottom feeders out of everywhere else because you were so bad last year.
Absolutely. And then let's move over to the hardest strength of schedule. At number 5 comes the Minnesota Vikings. And honestly, they could be in some trouble this year.
Yeah.
Poor J.J. McCarthy, if he is the starter, obviously tore his
Maybe something.
meniscus, I think it was last year. And so, obviously, no Sam Darnold now. He's down there in Seattle. The Eagles have the 4th easiest schedule. And I'll be very curious to see how they look. But a little bit of turmoil down there in Philadelphia right now. But new DC, new offensive coordinator. We've seen how this pitcher's played out before when they get a new DC and OC. The Eagles have a new defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator this year. So
I feel like no, but
yeah, they have a new OC and DC. They lost both of their coordinators in the offseason. Detroit has the 3rd easiest schedule. And for Detroit, expectations were high. Fell a little short last year. So, big things. Cleveland has the 2nd hardest schedule. And for Cleveland, I mean, just all for me, it's who's the quarterback. And honestly, hopefully it's Shador, but at the same time, kind of hope it's not Shador. Let him sit a year and ride this out until next year.
So, you were half right. The Eagles have a new OC in Kevin Patulu. So that's he is new. The OC's new. The DC is Vic Fangio. He stayed.
Oh, he stayed? Okay, I thought they got a new DC.
No, just the OC is new, which is really kind of the biggest part because, like, you know, you got to be able to, you know, work with Jalen Hurts and kind of fit him in where he needs to fit in, obviously, because as we all know, like, the head coach, you know, Nick Sirianni is really not a head coach.
No.
I mean, but he might luck out and stay there long enough and mature and could turn into one, but no, so they have a same DC, new OC in Philadelphia.
Now their new OC for Jalen Hurts. Like I said, Browns have the 2nd hardest schedule. It's going to be a rough one for them. It's just going to be rough. They addressed a lot defensively.
It's a rebuild.
It's a rebuild. And then the hardest schedule goes to the New York Giants. Be curious to see what happens with this roster. Who's the quarterback? Is it Russell Wilson? Do they go with the rookie Dart? They got Jameis Winston. That's an odd quarterback. That's a hell of a quarterback.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like different personalities to a degree.
It's kind of like the Browns. You have a shit ton of quarterbacks in that quarterback room. But again, like the Giants, really just the strength schedule looks bad because the Commanders are there, the Eagles are there, both in the playoffs, and then obviously like the Cowboys, they're no slouch. They're projected to be good because they're always projected to be good, whether or not they're going to be or not.
So that's the easy and hardest schedule. Like I said, schedule's out. If you don't know, go to NFL.com or just check your social media. It's out. You got all your games, Mondays, the third, all that. Check it out. We'll be talking more about that as we get a little bit more closer to football, obviously. We'll give you the rundown of records and top QBs, running backs, etc. as we get closer. One thing I wanted to touch on real quick, it's football related, but not NFL related. It was a very weird thing. Bill Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, was reportedly banned from UNC football facility because there was a deep worry about her. And then it came out she is not banned. And she's welcome back to the facilities. She's welcome to the games. Very odd thing going on there. A lot of people are worried, will Bill Belichick even make it to week 1 for the Carolina Tar Heels in college football? It's a whole weird situation they got over there. And honestly, because Bill Belichick's I think like 70, mid-70s, and she's like 24, 25. It's a whole weird thing.
Hey, I mean, like when you
got money, you got money.
When you got it like that, you got it like that. So, it don't really matter.
But there's that. Take that with how you want. With reports she was banned. Then they dropped like an hour later that she was not banned. So, hi there, Finn. I hope my cover's cooked. Can I have it? No? No? Can I have my script? Thank you. The Cincinnati Bengals is a very hot topic right now. Obviously, you guys know they paid all their offensive guys. Joe Burrow's paid. T. Higgins is paid. Jamar Chase is paid. Well, they have a guy on the defense side of the ball that was the sack leader.
Yeah.
Playing out of his mind the last 3 years, if we want to keep it above. We really go look at the stats and his numbers and what he's done. Trey Henderson. The organization has not talked to him. They haven't spoken to him since the season ended. No conversation during the draft. Still no conversations now outside of the fact they sent him an email saying, you don't show up, we're going to fine you. I'm like, That's the only communication he's getting. And he's already came out and said he's not showing up. He's not playing on his current contract at all.
Yep.
Then to make matters worse, during the NFL draft, the Cincinnati Bengals addressed his position in a way. Drafted a young...
You have two DNs.
Two DNs. They drafted a young man. We weren't overly hyped about it because in his totality of college career, he only had like 4.5 sacks, 5 sacks.
Something like that.
But he is holding out as well to a degree. And Brandon has the full details on that right there, which is...
He's at, the rookie training camp.
Yep.
He's just not participating on the field. I'm not going to risk getting hurt. So what kind of happened is so Stewart, pretty much, the DN.
Sherman Stewart, DN.
The talks kind of got bogged down regarding the percentage of compensation in future years to be paid as a training camp roster bonus. The training camp roster bonus has given a device for putting a sizable chunk of players' pay in pockets in future years. Early in the season, in this case, the number offered by the Bengals reflected a lower percentage than last year's 17th overall pick. So pretty much like the roster the bonus size that he would get for attending camp every year on his rookie deal they lowered it. Mm-hmm. And less than last year's 17th overall pick. And he said,
not signing those papers, man.
But I'm here and I'm doing everything else for you, but I'm not going to risk myself because you're paying me less than the guy from last year, and that's just not how that flies. You have to get what the guy previously got before you or more. Yep. And that just goes to show how cheap of an organization the Bengals are.
Especially when it comes to their defensive side of the ball.
This is in totality and paying their players. I don't think they've signed any of their rookies.
No, when you go back to when Joe Burrow got all the star talent they had defensive that they've lost over the years because I mean, is insane. And like, I'm not coming at Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow is a massive leader on that team. He advocated big time for T. Higgins.
Well, Joe Burrow's not paying, man.
No, but he advocated big for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to get paid.
Yeah.
I just want to know, why are you not advocating for your best defensive guy to get paid? Like,
well, because that doesn't help me look good. If I go out here and I drop 60 and we lose, well, that's not my fault.
Bro, you got to at least put up 70 points to even have a chance in these games. This defense is about to set records, and not good records by, I mean, like, come on.
I don't like the narrative trying to put out there. Well, why isn't advocating for these guys? He said, hey,
Patrick Mahomes advocated for Chris Jones. He's advocated for his defensive guys.
Yeah,
I'm going to make sure you
say
get paid.
that Joe Burrow never came out and said, hey, pay the man. He wanted Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to be paid. He clearly didn't care that the 30-year-old D-end got paid or not. And the Bengals are a very cheaply ran organization. And you know what? You don't want to try. Honestly, give me a 30-day contract. Like, I'll go out there and I'll play some defense and get hurt for you, the Bengals. That's pretty much what the point they're at. I mean, they addressed it through the draft. It's not going to help them. Rookies aren't going to give that big of an impact. Not when you're going to be running up and down the field like they are with their duo.
Yeah.
I just don't like the narrative trying to put out there that Joe Burrow doesn't want this guy. No, Joe Burrow wants everybody to get paid. He wants everybody to get their money, but, he would rather have his weapons so he can stay looking good. And so we'll never get to know for the next at least 2 years what he can look like without studs everywhere. We saw Josh Allen look like without a quote-unquote stud, and we're like, that dude can elevate players to a higher level. We saw it with Patrick Mahomes. So, we only have maybe so many quote-unquote elite QBs that can raise lesser talent to higher levels, because when you have great talent around you, everybody's going to look good. They drop 40, 50 points a game, or get more like 30 to 40, and they still lose. So clearly, it doesn't work just putting up points. If you get stopped 2 or 3 times, you lost. You
got to play damn near mistake-free football, and that's sometimes hard.
And they don't have a running game, so you're just airing that motherfucker out.
You're not wrong.
I just know, in fantasy football, you can get Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, you're set. I don't want to see you.
T. Higgins is a friend, just hope he can stay healthy.
Well,
now he's got paid. I think he'll be good.
If you can't get Jamar Chase, might as well get T. Higgins. Yeah. If you have Joe Burrow, might as well get T. Higgins.
Not wrong.
They even paid Gageski.
They did.
They got paid everybody offensively. They paid all the offensive linemen, but they suck.
Yeah.
The left tackle Leonard Brown, he can't block or shit.
The running back that used to be the running back that was on the Chiefs last year went back to Cincinnati, but it was a very cheap deal.
Oh, P. Ryan,
he went back to Cincinnati. But yeah, there's that. Another thing I want to talk about on our Kansas City Chiefs. When you have a tough year and it left a sour taste in your mouth, and that's how I feel for Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce has lost around 25 pounds this offseason. Lets me know this man is taking this season very seriously, in my perspective. He's lost a lot of weight, getting back in tip-top shape again. And he even said over, if you watched the podcast with him and his brother, he felt like he was a little overweight, didn't feel the same. So he's dropped a lot of weight. And honestly, obviously how the season ended and how it ended for him and how he looked at the end, obviously did not sit well with him. And I think we're going to see a really good season. I'm not saying massive numbers, but I think you're going to get a little bit of a vintage Travis Kelce this season possibly for our Kansas City Chiefs, in a way. Because obviously he's going to be, 34? Something like that.
Something like that,
34, 35?
Well, with Travis and the weight loss, he looked a little bit heavier, but, he'd be 36 in October this year.
So he'll be 36.
So he's a lot, he's very older in the tooth, but, you just kind of saw that he looked slower, he looked sluggish.
Yes.
But, losing 25 pounds of fat, good God. You can see it though. He looks slender. He does.
He does.
He looks smaller. He's still
Taylor Swift weight off a little
still
bit.
Well, he got that daily weight. But you gotta. He's going to be. I don't want to say. I think he's going to get 1,000 yards easy this year.
Yes.
I think I don't think necessarily he came into last year. Obviously not in the best shape of his life, but I don't think he was. He's not the focal point of the offense.
No.
It's our running game, I'm hoping. But also, we have Rashee Rice. We have Xavier Worthy. And Juju coming back. With Hollywood, we have a plethora of outside weapons.
Rookies that are looking very solid.
I just feel like he's going to get a lot of... He's not going to be the focus point of the defense to stop. Because you can't. We saw what Rashee Rice looked like before he went down. I think Travis Kelce is honestly going to eat, and he's going to have one of his better years.
Yeah.
Just off the fact that he's going to have so much help outside.
Absolutely. So I'm happy that he's taking it seriously because again, we don't know. This could be the last year for Travis Kelce.
But
potentially,
it worries me a little bit. 25 pounds is a lot.
Yeah, it is, especially
And,
for the
like,
tight end position.
Well, he's not. He's like a beefy blocker.
No,
I mean, he comes out for that, but I mean not all the time. But he I just last year he'd make a play, or like we'd be moving down the field, and then all of a sudden you see him sub out. No, where are you going?
Yeah, you're not right.
I need my number one wide receiver / tight end / running back / quarterback / O-line out there. And so hopefully he can be on the field more since she's in better. I hope it's more like conditioning wise is in better shape because like football.
Like I said, 25 pounds, man, is crazy. Especially when you think about like football. It's not like it's like you're playing like basketball or something. Like 25 pounds in football, the drop, man, that is.
Hopefully, he can kind of get some of that back, maybe a little bit, and some muscle mass, and just a little bit. But I mean, I'm not questioning him by no means of what he does, because I mean, he clearly knows what he's doing to lose 25 pounds in like 3-4 months.
You're not wrong. I think the biggest news coming out of the NFL right now that is crazy is the Derrick Henry contract extension that he got. It said largest deal in NFL history for a running back over 30 years old. He got 2 years, $30 million, $25 million fully guaranteed of that. That's insane. Like I said, it's the largest deal in NFL history for a running back over 30 years old. And Brett has some serious numbers about Derrick Henry that, like, you can't argue with the contract at all.
Well, so since 2020, the most games with 100 rushing yards.
Absolutely.
Is Derrick Henry with 37. And then you drop down to Jonathan Taylor at 24. Then Nick Chubb, who has had some injury issues, but he has 19. Saquon with 17, and a lot of those honestly came in the past year.
Yeah.
And then Josh Jacobs with 15.
That's insane.
That's a humongous drop off. He was 37, Taylor 24, and then 19, 17, 15. It's like, wow.
You're not wrong. And so Derrick Henry gets this deal. It changes the running back market.
I mean, that's $15 million.
It changes the running back market again. It didn't reset the market to a degree, but it helped the running backs because again, Derrick Henry's over 31 years old.
He's your age.
Damn. Shout out to Derrick Henry.
He was born in 1994 in October.
Damn. Shout out to Derrick Henry, man.
Well, so what's crazy is Christian McCaffrey, I mean, technically is the highest paid at $16 million per year. With a current contract value of $64 million,
which is insane.
So I mean, $1 million less is what Derrick Henry's getting. So I mean, he slots in at Saquon Barkley's making 20 a year now. McCaffrey's at 19. Jonathan Taylor's at 14. So it puts him third highest if you don't count the Raiders running back.
Ashton Jeanty.
Ashton Jeanty with
who got all his money as the top pick that he was in the NFL draft, which is insane.
So that puts him around third, fourth highest paid running back in the league.
But then there's also a running back sitting out there that people laughed at when he came out and said he won his number. James Cook, Bills running back. Honestly,
yeah, I mean, you have to pay. He's getting paid by somebody,
yes.
Whether it's this year by the Bills or by somebody else next year. But how the market's starting to go, because you got to thank the Raiders for kind of messing up the running back market, because they drafted Ashton Jeanty so high that set that market value. You don't even know what he can do, but you're paying him. So everybody else that's already been established, you have to pay me more than him because you already know what I can give you.
Yep. So
whether or not you don't have tread on the tires or not, I can still do more than you do because I'm a guaranteed product.
Not wrong. Another Baltimore Ravens guy that are trying to get the contract done is Lamar Jackson. For the simple fact of his cap hit is $78 million?
So next year will be $72 million for the next, after this season, the next 2 seasons it'll be at $72 million and for his cap hit, and they're like,
we're gonna keep that down.
They're like, yeah, we're not trying to do that. So when
I'll be very curious to see what his deal.
See Lamar Jackson getting a new deal. don't be surprised because they're trying to lower this future.
And they want to get that done before the season starts is the goal, which I think they'll get it done.
Oh, I mean,
I don't see. Granted, Lamar Jackson has no agent. Him and his mom represent him.
Yeah, but it's easy to do franchise QBs that you feel that are your franchise quarterback. Yeah. It's easy to do it.
Yes.
The market's been set, so they can reset the market. They can throw a bunch of money at them, bonuses here and there. And honestly, I think they're probably going to kind of structure it more like Josh Allen's and Patrick Mahomes' deal, where they can kind of move some money in the future years. Yep. You have more cap space. Let's pull some of that money forward to lessen the hit, and in the year.
Which would be the smart thing to do. So, but yeah, those are the biggest news right now in the NFL. Like I said at the beginning, we're going to be getting a lot more NFL as we get a lot closer. So stay tuned for that. I did want to touch briefly on baseball. There was a big thing that happened. The MLB commissioner unbanned Pete Rose and many other baseball players because they are now deceased. Which is insane because these players had lifetime ban. Now you can't. Pete Rose is the all-time leading hitter in baseball, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And the reason he unbanned them is because now they don't hurt the integrity of the game anymore.
Because they died?
Because they died. This is even worse, Brandon. This is even worse, bro. They are now eligible for the Hall of Fame now.
Well, yeah, because
tell me how fucked up is that? Is that bad thought?
If I'm Barry Bonds, I'm like, just ban me indefinitely until I die.
Damn, Barry can't get in until he's dead, bro. That's crazy.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, the dude's dead, so I'll lift his lifetime ban because his life ended. So let me go ahead and lift your lifetime ban. So when they turn into second or third ballot.
Yeah, so
that's funny.
The commissioner literally unbanned Pete Rose and 15 other deceased players, and they also got reinstated to now be eligible to be for the Baseball Hall of Fame, which is all because they do not hurt the integrity of the game anymore. That's insane to me. That's so fucked.
Baseball's fun. Baseball's ruthless though. Baseball's ruthless. Their Hall of Fame to get into is so hard to get into. Basically, really because the steroid things and the cheating that went on in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. And early 90s, I guess probably.
So if you're a baseball player and you want the Hall of Fame and you did something wrong, bro, you just gotta die.
You just gotta die,
bro. And as shitty as that sounds.
That's if you've been banned for life.
Yeah, if you've been banned for life, you gotta die, and then they'll unban you, and then you can go to the Hall of Fame, dog. And you can.
So if you get a lifetime ban from the NBA. And then I die.
They don't work like that. They're not as forgiving.
So what if I die, but I get brought back? Does that
that's 50-50.
Is that the same way I work in prison? So if I have a lifetime sentence, but I flatline in jail, and then you bring me back, does that technically that life, my heart stops? Yeah. Technically, did I not serve my life sentence?
But when I saw that come out about baseball, dude, that was some of the.
I feel like it
does. That was fucked up, but funny.
That's funny. Baseball just ruthless for no reason. Oh well, you're dead now, so we'll lift your lifetime ban since your life ended.
Could you imagine? I don't think some of these players even have family to accept if they were to get into the. How would you even have that acceptance speech? How do you talk about that? I don't even know. Just hand me the plaque and let me go home.
Who you handing the plaque to?
I don't know. Some of these players, I don't know. Right. But speaking on baseball, the regular season is going on. Our Kansas City Royals, we're really great at home. On the road, we dog shit.
Yeah, we're 9-13 on the road.
We're not good.
McKay, 16-7.
But what I really want to talk about is to my Colorado Rockets fans.
No.
Colorado Rockies.
There you go.
There we go. My MLB fans that are Colorado Rockies, how are you doing? Are you okay? Are you drinking nowadays? Because goddamn, 7-36. This is the funny shit. There's really not enough being made of the fact that at this moment, the Rockies are on pace to finish 26-136. That is 110 games below 500. And they cannot get a top 10 pick in the MLB due to the anti-tanking rules. So they can't even get a top pick at this moment because they're losing so bad. I don't know if you call that tanking or you just that bad. I don't know what you call that.
I don't know.
You're on pace to only get 19 more wins.
Oh,
That's insane. You're going to have 136 losses. You're on pace for 136 losses.
Dude.
That's 100 more losses right now.
They got, I'm calling up some of their scores. The Padres thumped them 21-0. And then thumped them 13-9. The Tigers 11-1.
At this point, the Colorado Rockies better just open tryouts at this point. Doing ladies
10-2.
It's not been good for them,
I
man.
didn't know you could score that high in baseball.
But unfortunately for them, they're in the NL West. They're in there with the Dodgers, the Padres, the Giants, and the Diamondbacks, dog.
I just know if, like,
Ouch.
once your team got the teens on me, I'm not going back out there. Coach, I'm hurt. I'm not going back out there.
Oh, man.
Like, once the team hits, like, past 10 and we got 0, I'm not going back out there. Sub me out. Holy hell, 21. You got bageled. You got shut out. You couldn't manage a home run. You couldn't get nobody home.
They don't have the turbo bats yet.
They go get some. They go get something. 21. Like, oh damn.
Yep.
And then the Tigers, 11-1, 10-2. I'm like,
They have not.
no, I'm not. No. If I'm on, send me down to AAA, AA.
Look, think about this, Brendan. They're 5-16 at home, and they're 2-20 on the road.
I'm not going on the road, and I was like, send me down.
They're 1-9 in their last 10 games.
Send me down.
Oh, damn.
In the last 10, 1-9. Good fuck. Dude, y'all suck. Like, how can you be that bad? Like, I know our Royals have been bad, but I don't think we've got a 20 burger put on our head bad. Good hell. Right now,
shout out to them Colorado Rocky fans, man. Y'all are some true fans.
They're just like, can football get here?
They're the equivalent of the Cleveland Browns for all them years. I don't even know if that's...
Honestly, they're giving me a Detroit Lion vibes of the undefeated season. Or the defeated season, I mean. They're giving me that kind of vibe. Honestly, I'm kind of here to see if they get enough wins to get the top.
I'd be curious to see if because like I said, they're on pace to finish 26-130. So we see...
All it takes is a little bit of a win streak here.
A little bit of something, man. A little bit of something.
Oh,
but that's special baseball talk, man. Like I said, regular season's on the way. We're only about basically 44, 45 games into the season, basically. NBA, man. NBA. We're going to jump right over into the NBA. Obviously, the draft lottery happened, man. And some crazy shit went down in the NBA draft lottery, Brandon. Like, let's talk about it. There was a coin flip between the Bills. Or, sorry, not the Bills.
The Bills?
My apologies.
Good.
The Chicago Bulls.
You don't even know.
The Chicago Bulls and the Dallas Mavericks flipped a coin. I don't know where this coin flip took place, but it happened. And Chicago lost, so they got the 12th, and they stayed at 12. And the Dallas Mavericks ended up pulling off the number 1 pick in this NBA draft, and they jumped they had a 1.8% chance to win, and a lot of people feel like it's rigged, and there's also a lot of people out here that feel like that they say if you think the NBA draft lottery is rigged, you have no IQ. And I'm like, kind of can go back into time and talk about it. 1985 with Patrick Ewing. We could go to Chris Paul in 2011. Gets traded. Following year, New Orleans gets the number 1 pick. Anthony Davis leaves the Pelicans. Following year, Pelicans get the number 1 pick. Luka gets traded from the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks get the number 1 overall pick. Let's not even talk about Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron leaves, they get the number 1 pick. LeBron goes back to Cleveland, they get the number 1 pick. A lot of instances where you could talk about Derrick Rose, number 1 overall pick to Chicago.
They had 1.7%.
Like, they have the most jump spots. The Mavericks jumped 10 spots in the draft lottery to get it. It's the highest in draft lottery history. Chicago lost the toss and stayed at the 12th spot.
All because Josh Giddey
hit that half-court against the Lakers.
Which then ended up costing them, in totality, costing the number 1 overall pick.
But the biggest thing is as of currently right now, the Dallas Mavericks have the number 1 overall pick.
Yes.
Brandon is very confident that the Dallas Mavericks will no longer hold the number 1 overall pick by the time the NBA draft actually gets here. And if you're the Dallas Mavericks, and everything that Nico Harrison and you guys talked about, you have to trade the number 1 overall pick because he's not ready to contribute to that level of magnitude what Dallas is trying to achieve. at this current junction in time.
Well, you can't forget that Cooper Flagg is just now 18.
Yeah,
he reclassified, so he's not turning 19, he's turning 18. Season's going to happen, and he's going to be an 18-year-old. And when the season progresses, he'll then turn 19, but he is a year ahead of the rest of his peers in his class.
Because he should be entering college now. And it said he's going to the NBA draft.
Thank you for clarifying what the classifying means for everybody.
Absolutely.
And so the Mavericks are in potentially, they act like they're in win now mode, trading Luka for AD, saying defense win championships. So you get AD, gave up Luka, then Kyrie, tore his ACL, and just he tore something in his knee. And so he kind of stuck in a kind of a weird spot. Do you draft him? Well, if you draft him, then you clearly are in a rebuild mode, that you're not in a win now mode, which you have this late 20s, early 30s AD, which now you're kind of wasting him away.
Yep.
Sure, he can groom Cooper Flagg, but Cooper Flagg won't be ready to make a push or be at that echelon.
Because he's got a lot of growing.
If he can get to that, if he hit,
reach the potential we think he can reach.
Can have, it won't be for 3-4 years, and by that time, AD's already out of prime out,
or he's already out the fucking league,
or injuries will take AD out. So no, I don't think the Mavericks.
They got to trade the pick. And
Mavericks won't keep.
What makes it very interesting is for the first time in his career, the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo is considering leaving the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
And he wants to go someplace with no income tax. Well, isn't that kind of ironic? Texas has no income tax. And so,
what's really interesting is the number 2 pick, San Antonio
Spurs,
is also in Texas.
And they also have the number 14th overall pick as well, the Spurs. So, could you imagine a Victor Wembanyama and Giannis? Bro, I tell you what, you're not scoring in the
paint.
That's a hell of a lot of wing, dog.
That's tall. You tall.
So that would be very interesting. Like I said, I agree with you. I think Mavericks and the Spurs will not have 1 and 2.
I don't think 1 through. So the Mavericks have the number 1 pick.
Yep.
Spurs have 2, and the 76ers have 3. I don't think either one of them will hold that pick when the draft happens.
I would agree with that.
I think the 76ers, there's going to be a lot of movement with that organization. They might keep that pick if they ended up blowing it all up and just keeping Maxey and then building around Maxey. That's a potential possibility.
Yes.
See what happens with Paul George and Joel Embiid. But the Spurs, they're not in the win now mode, but they have the young nucleus.
Yeah.
Now, there's not necessarily adding another.
Because they traded for De'Aaron Fox during the regular season last year.
So that, I think, kind of pushed the envelope a little bit. Hey, we're starting to win now. Victor Wembanyama, you kind of saw the progress
in 46 games. Literally, you saw it.
And then he went out with
blood
clots in the shoulder, so then it cut his season short. So I don't necessarily know taking a young prospect is necessarily the best spot for them when they could trade the 2nd, 14th pick to the Bucks, and you can get Giannis, and boom, you're automatically in the East. You're in
and
the
then
West,
all you really need is just kind of surround them with shooting, role player guys, and on top of the young guys you already
Fox
have.
has been paid. And then Giannis obviously has been paid, but will be coming up. But you haven't paid Victor Wembanyama. You haven't paid Castle. Back-to-back, winning rookies.
Rookie of the years,
Back-to-back. So you have money to spend to try to get them with more shooters.
And then you have, obviously, Popovich taking over as president, who's going to be able to orchestrate.
Let's not put a whole lot on that. We saw what he did.
Yeah, we did see what he looked like.
Now, physically, he doesn't look great. I mean, mentally, he still might be sharp. Maybe not, but let's not put a whole
lot onto that, but
it's just nice to know that this, the Spurs are a stand-up organization.
Absolutely.
But I'm quite curious. I mean, the interim head coach is now the head coach for them.
So, and then really, I think another pick I want to talk about in here. Let's talk about how the Hornets and the Wizards were the worst teams in the NBA, and they were 4th and the 6th overall pick in the draft. Same thing with the Jazz. Was it last 7-9 years? The worst team has not gotten the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft. But we have to talk about the 7th overall pick, the New Orleans Pelicans. Mm-hmm. What do? They traded Brandon Ingram. C.J. McCollum's aging. Zion can't stay healthy, loses the weight, puts it back on, gets hurt. What do they do with the 7th overall pick? Do you try to unload Zion? Get more draft capital, full rebuild, blow it up. What do you think? I'm curious to know what the Pelicans will do with the 7th overall pick. What do they do?
I think they move Zion. I mean,
I think it's just
that one's kind of tough. I think they move Zion. I don't necessarily think they really move in the draft. I think they take somebody at 7,
yes,
and they get some assets back, whatever that may look like for Zion. Because that experiment, it's done, it's over, they tried. Zion doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And you have to get him someplace where he feels motivated to keep the weight off and to keep working on his body. Because obviously he's a freak athlete. He's too freakish. And he likes food too much.
Yeah,
and
you gotta get him out of New Orleans.
You gotta get him someplace that he wants to be, that he's willing to be structured.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Really.
But honestly, he's really hurting his own. Like, what we thought we were going to be able to get, everybody wanted, he's really kind of killed his own career. And really, the Pelicans kind of like let him do it by paying him. Like, you gave the dude money and he didn't.
You gotta think about when he was coming out of. You could almost say we kind of like watched Zion grow because like he just blossomed from high school. We watched him in college, and you're like, damn, dude, like he got to the NBA.
But when he's right,
he's dominant.
The dude's phenomenal, and he gives me like such like Cavs, LeBron James. I'm just dominant, attacking the rim, getting bucket after bucket after bucket, and it's great to watch because nobody can stop him when he's on. But it's just unfortunate that he can't seem to keep himself on the court, and that's going to be unfortunate.
And the last pick I want to talk about, this team was the second in the Western Conference, the Houston Rockets. They were gifted this pick, obviously, but there's no way they're keeping the title. This is being packaged, this is being shipped.
Well, guess who also plays in Texas?
Rockets. we got some teams here that.
So he has some options and. Again, Giannis is the biggest name out there. That he's been linked to the Rockets, if he would ask. I don't like that. I like the Rockets' core. The only reason I really don't like that is because the core they got, that young core, they can't shoot. And that's Giannis the promise in Milwaukee now is they can't shoot threes. So you go there, you're not really helping your cause there. So I don't really like that move. But I agree with you. I think they're
just not keeping that big.
There's 4 teams that I think will be moving: Mavs, Spurs, Sixers, top 3 picks, which is kind of crazy. So unfortunately for Cooper Flagg, who I think would be excited to go to Dallas, and then the Houston Rockets.
It's just unfortunate that Giannis has now made it available that he wants to move.
Unfortunate, not unfortunate. It's going to be great for off season, but the Rockets, I think they draft a player.
You think they?
And then it's kind of like a draft day trade.
Absolutely. Okay. I can
to see how everything kind of lays out.
That's fair. On a side funny note, outside of the draft, if you like NBA 2K, and you know how like you create your mind, you come out with them generic
ass
2K
red, white shoes,
you can actually go get them now. And I said this to Brown, I was like, Brandon, you can buy the 2K shoes for $145. I think that's fucking hilarious.
But like in the game, I'm not buying your 2K generic ass shoes.
Pretty much.
Do I get the next 2? Do I get 2K26 if I buy the shoes?
Shit. Do I give me the VC too? Obviously, the NBA playoffs are still underway. Unfortunately, Jason Tatum went down with an injury in Game 4. He ruptured his Achilles, underwent successful surgery on Tuesday. He's out for the rest of next year.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm 100%.
Okay.
He's not coming back.
He could be available next game. Did you ask?
I would be that asshole in the media that would do that, just to ruffle feathers. We do wish Tatum well, but Brandon and I were talking about this at work. If you hated Tatum shooting jumpers now, boy, them jumpers about to get doubled when he come back. Because medicine, technology, way better, but when you rupture an Achilles, man, it changes you. I mean, the only dude we've ever seen come back that looked really good was Kevin Durant. Well, then most guys don't come back looking the same.
Well, that even took Kevin Durant time to come back, and then he even had some injuries while coming back from that. So I think just him, he's young. He'll come back from it fine, I think, but he could be a little bit differently, maybe a little bit explosive, but he's so...
Maybe this will be the, work yourself in the post. Play more like Melo instead of thinking you're Curry.
Well,
I just think we would resonate. People would resonate.
You and I would like that more than just chucking up threes, but the day and age we live in is that. But the bigger question is that you just really skipped over. Is the biggest news out there is that this is the last run for the Celtics. They're blowing it up.
And
then Tatum blows out his Achilles.
What do you do?
I don't know what you tell me. What do you do? The talk was Jaylen Brown was the star that was going to get moved and maybe make Porzingis or White or a couple of these other Drew Holiday. A couple of those other pieces might get moved because if you don't know, the Celtics was bought during the season, so they're on new ownership.
$6 billion.
And so they're not turning a profit. The team
that $450 million payroll, and they're bringing in about $450 million.
Off of merchandising and ticket sales. They're not turning a profit, but the previous owners, they owned the team forever. So everything was a profit. So they didn't care that they were in the second, but they were willing to pay and not really make a whole lot of money. And so then as soon as the team got sold, the writing was kind of on the wall that this roster was going to implode at some point. And apparently the average age on the team is 28. I feel like you remove Al Horford, the age might drop a little bit, but apparently that's old because that's the third oldest in the NBA. I'm like, I don't feel like 28
Considering I feel like 28 is like I'm entering my prime.
But apparently that means you blow it up type of ordeal.
Yeah.
So what do you do now that the top was Brown's gone? Tatum is apparently your star, even though you didn't win the Finals MVP or Eastern Conference MVP last year. But now what do you do with Tatum's shelved for all next year?
He's shelved all for next year.
Right,
now,
so don't worry about Tatum. He's gone. So this is what's
I
what do you do?
Keep Brown, or you can still move Brown. There's still potential you can move Brown.
Well, I'm asking you, what are you doing now? Because the top ones are going to blow it up. They're going to move somebody.
They're going to blow it up. They're obviously going to, I think Drew Holiday is gone. Kristaps Porzingis is gone. Peyton Pritchard and Derrick White are staying. I think those two guys will stay. Brown, I think it's going to come down to what type of offers do you get for him, and how willingly are you going to accept those offers now that Tatum's on the shelf for a year? That's really what it comes down to.
Well, you're wrong. I think they just run it back. I think you might see like Drew Holiday or Porzingis moved, but I think they run it back now because you got to stay competitive. You have to stay good in a very weak Eastern Conference. You can't get rid of your only star. You have two stars. You're going to get rid of one because you want to pay him, but now the other one's sidelined, so Brown's going to stay. Porzingis had a great help for the one chip, but he's been in and out. Apparently, he didn't play the back half of yesterday's game.
Yeah, he's dealing with the
breathe.
Yeah, he's dealing with the
illness. So I'm like,
that's why I say Porzingis is gone.
That's some weak ass shit. Like, it's the playoffs. I get it. I mean, it's do or die. But you want to play. So Porzingis is probably gone. Maybe Drew Holiday. But Drew Holiday hasn't really aged well since kind of getting there. Though,
no, he's
so I can see more Drew Holiday leaving. Al Horford retiring.
Like Peyton Pritchard, he's going to be their starter.
You can't get rid of them too. Like
Derrick White, he's staying. I just think it's going to be a different starting lineup and different role players.
No shit. A different starting lineup. Tatum can't play.
Well, I'm saying in totality, I think it's going to be obviously Al Horford's going to be gone. I don't think.
Maybe. I mean, he could come back.
He could come back, but they're going to have to really look at themselves in the mirror. It definitely changed everything. Tatum getting this injury has completely. You've now like, oh damn, I don't know. Can we afford?
Well, they won game. Was it game 5? Yeah, they won game 5.
Yep.
So I mean, they won game 5. It wasn't necessarily because of Jaylen Brown.
Derrick White led the charge.
Derrick White showed up. The 3 balls falling. I think Tatum, no injury. I think Jaylen Brown gets moved during the offseason. Maybe some other pieces here or there. But it would have been Jason Tatum's team, which I was really looking forward to seeing if he really was that dog. But now that puppy's now sidelined, and I think, honestly, I'm more curious to see what happens if they make a couple of these moves. They keep Jaylen Brown. Obviously, you have to keep him now. But the following offseason, when Jaylen Brown, 2027's offseason, when Tatum's healthy. Now what do you do? How did Jaylen Brown look? Did Jaylen Brown really look like that star, that dude? Now what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you now trade away the guy that come off the Achilles, or do you trade the hot hand in Jaylen Brown?
Yeah.
Because somebody's getting traded. You just now postpone it. I think.
Yeah, it's definitely altered their franchise in a way.
But they have a lot.
They got a lot to think about. Like I said, so we got Boston. We're gonna start with Boston in New York. Obviously, Boston is up 3-2.
No.
Yeah,
Boston is not up 3-2.
The New York Knicks are up 3-2. Game 6 is Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time. New York's got to close that game. You got to close it in New York. You got.
Yes or no? Were you surprised that the Celtics won?
No.
Yeah, I wasn't. Really
that wasn't a surprise either. They came out. And
it's supposed to be. I wasn't surprised. Tim hurt. Everybody was.
Brunson fouled out early in the fourth quarter. They didn't.
But it was a blow up before that.
They didn't come to play. But I do. I guess the question we have to really ask ourselves too. Obviously, we both think. I think the Knicks are going to close this game out in 6. But what if Boston forces Game 7 and Jaylen Brown and the Celtics?
Just say what you want to say. What if they come back and
they come back and win?
This is really kind of.
Then it becomes even more like, okay, so like is Brown really like that dude?
A part of me kind of wants that.
Because you got to think about too, the whole NBA and the Celtics, even the Celtics fan base, they push Jason Tatum. And even though Brown's got the hardware, they push Tatum. But if Brown leads this team, because again, he was the second leading scorer for them in Game 5.
And he does it on both ends.
He does it on both ends. But if he comes back and beats this Knicks team, and then goes to the Eastern Conference Finals, which we'll get there in a minute, and handles business there, goes to the finals. It don't even matter if you win the final. But you get them there, we're having another different conversation. The Celtics have a different conversation. Because obviously you can't trade Tatum because he's hurt. Well, I don't think you can. You can, but there's shit that goes into it.
He got traded and he was still hurt.
Yeah, so
you can trade in your guys. You just know.
But it's another conversation you have to have. But for hypothetical, Brown gets them in 7 game against the Knicks, beats them, goes to either conference, takes care of that many games, goes to the fucking finals and wins it. I think the writing's on the motherfucking wall that Tatum gets moved.
I just don't think so. That's so hard. Like,
if he leads them all the way,
Jaylen Brown literally won the Finals MVP and Eastern Conference MVP, and everybody was in uproar that Tatum didn't get it. He wasn't the best player on the court.
No, it wasn't.
Brown was in both those series on both ends, and part of me kind of wants this for Jaylen Brown to.
This is your moment, like you said. It's not your moment. You already had your moment, but this really is your moment.
It would just be really funny to see how when Tatum did come back, because I was they get along. Well, this dude now has 2 rings that he's won. His 2 Finals MVPs, 2 Eastern Conference Finals MVPs, and Tatum has 2 rings because,
like I said, that's
because his running mate got him one. So
that's the great
I'm really here to see. I want to. If I can fast forward to the next offseason to see how that kind of plays out, I'd still be very curious to see. But Pacers. Cavs.
Pacers, gentlemen sweep that. 4-1 on the Cavs. Before we even talk about the Pacers, what do the Cavs do now? This Cavs core in 3 seasons. Lost to the Knicks at 4-1 in the opening round. Lost to the Celtics 4-1 in the second round. Lost to the Pacers 4-1 in the second round. What's next for this Cavs team? What's next?
Opening day of NBA season, there's nothing.
You
just run it back. You fired head coach last year. You brought in a new head coach.
Who was coach of the year?
Who
had the defensive player of the year in Evan Mobley.
Who you talk shit on, but it's cool. But the core was hurt. All you had was Donovan Mitchell out there. Everybody was hurt or was sick or mysterious of not playing.
Garland had the toe injury. Evan Mobley and Hunter missed a game.
You just run it. You bring
Donovan Mitchell had the injury.
You bring it back. You can make some moves here or there.
They were the first seed in the Eastern Conference.
They did. They won over 60 games. You run it back. You have a great core. I'm not going to say young core because, good God, 28's old. So, but they have a great core there. Donovan Mitchell didn't have an overall great shooting performance per se, but
not from 3.
You run it back. Unfortunately, Mitchell needs the help that other teams have for their stars.
The only thing I would say about Donovan Mitchell is I feel at times his scoring is not impactful. It doesn't do anything for his team.
When you're the only guy that can go get a bucket, what can you really do? He was the only guy that when his running mate Garland was out, or even when he played, he was still hampered. Could go and attack the rim. Could come off the dribble. Could come off the screen.
Do we need to be running again? I said the things I said about Mobley, and I owned that. But watching the series, I think Mobley needs to be more involved in the offense.
I thought he should kind of be a little bit more of a centerpiece. You thought I was crazy, but if they would have featured him a little bit more, they maybe would have kept that, the leads that they had. But again, that kind of comes back to coaching when you kind of fall back on your guard versus your big man.
But then there's the Indiana Pacers back to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second straight year.
You know that, right?
Yeah, I did know that. So I obviously had my TikTok account, and I was like, I said on my video, I don't think anybody in the world thought the Pacers were going back to these Cup finals. I forgot to say that I knew they were there last year, but again, everybody had Boston and Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's who everybody was picking.
To be fair, when you said that to me, I was like, they went last year.
I know. They were there last year.
So
they lost to the Celtics.
Putting that in your comments.
They lost to the Celtics. And then, like, everybody coming at me in the comments, I'm like, I know. I'm saying, like, is in general, fans outside of Indiana Pacer fans.
Did you say in general?
Well, I got to be more clarified when I'm talking, but
you obviously.
Obviously. But the Pacers are in the Eastern Conference Finals. Second straight year. They're waiting on Knicks in Boston.
Back-to-back years.
Back-to-back years.
They made it last year.
Your man Tyrese Halliburton. You said you wanted to see it from him. Yeah. He gave it to you. Back in the Eastern Conference Finals again.
He's
closeout game. Gave it to the Cavs.
Yeah. He's hit clutch buckets. He's hit game buzzer beater buckets.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, you're getting.
Is he elevated? Is he giving you what you want?
We're not done yet.
We're not done yet. But is he?
That's
is
great.
he,
You can do
but is he ticking up on you, right? Like how Evan Mobley ticked up on me.
Well, I already knew Evan Mobley was there.
Is Tyrese Halliburton ticking up for you?
He won Defensive Player of the Year, and you're just like, nah, I don't give a fuck. So Tyrese Halliburton. That's cool. You did it, against the Bucks. Like the Bucks they're a poorly constructed team. You got them 4-1. Then you took down a riddled Cavs team. You hit big buckets, and he did look good. Yes. And
the Cavs also blew leads.
They also blew leads, and Halliburton was part of that. But
he did have a 4-point
But this is the biggest stage
he's
he's ever been to. So I want to see what he looks like on the biggest stage. The biggest stage is where you make stars. Playoffs is where stars happen. So
you make
for him to become a full stars in the playoffs. So I want to see what he looks like against Boston or the Knicks.
That's fair.
And if he moves on, that's a big milestone to get to the finals, and then I'll be able to make my conclusion whenever his season comes to an end, whether or not I think he deserves all his points on his star.
That's fair. Okay.
Because he has great running mates.
He does.
With Pascal.
Well, I also think some of his roommates have also surprised you. Evan Turner shooting the ball, or Miles Turner shooting the three ball a lot better than you thought he was going to shoot the ball.
Well, a lot better than he has kind of shot in the past in the postseason. But like his running mates have stepped up. Like we've seen them with a lot of teams, like their running mates have elevated their
superstars that we are used to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Superstar, like Tyrese Maxey. I don't know if he's a superstar, but he's definitely shown that he's
Halliburton.
Yeah, Halliburton.
You've been around me too long.
Well, it's more like, Maxey needs to get out of the 76ers, I guess. But Halliburton is kind of shown, though, a little. I've seen, you can kind of watch the Cavs series. There's glimpses of like when he's
on his shit, dude. He's on it.
Like that, and the rest of the guys follow him when he's on. That's kind of when they make like that push to close the lead or extend the lead or hit the big shot to stimulate a run. So. No, I'm here to see it, and I'm cool to give everybody their flowers, unlike some people, but...
I gave him his flowers.
Yeah, you premature on some things, and then other people you just don't want to. On the West...
Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors.
Curry went down. It was pretty much a wrap.
Pretty much showed you Steve Kerr can't coach.
Yes, no, I don't care. The whole Jimmy thing or the drama or whatever. Jimmy Buckets is long gone in the playoffs. Like, that was 2-3 years ago, Miami Heat. After the bubble, and then a couple years after that, the Warriors are probably.
What does this tell you about the T-Wolves? They are going to their second straight Western Conference Finals.
Well, I'm proud of Ant not taking that dig at Curry that was put on a platter because he's eliminated all of the big names.
He's eliminated.
He was I really didn't he didn't play, and so I like that from him.
I respect that from him
because you didn't. You beat his team, but he couldn't play. And, the Timberwolves, clearly getting Julius Randle was the correct move.
Yeah. Last year they were there with Cat. This year they were there with Julius Randle. And Julius Randle has really taken...
And another scoring option, which I think they're still kind of lacking, Mike Conley's just too old, but kind of that point guard to really kind of push the tempo with them.
Mike Conley even came out and said the urgency to win now. I'm not getting any younger, man. I need y'all.
The Timberwolves have taken care of business 4-1. They took care of the Lakers 4-1, and they took care of the Warriors in 4-1.
And then to the series that has been very great and disappointing at the same time. OKC and the Denver Nuggets. OKC leads this series 3-2. There have been times in this series when it's been unwatchable. It's been Brick City in this motherfucker. like I said, I got it right here. SGA in the regular season, in totality, shooting 52%. In the playoffs, in this series, 42%. Nikola Jokic, 58%. In this series, he's shooting 47% in totality. It's been kind of rough for these MVP candidates. It's been rough.
Well, it's been I don't want to say great defense, but also, if Aaron Gordon if Chet doesn't miss those free throws,
series is over.
If Aaron Gordon doesn't hit that three, series is already over.
Yep.
And we'll see tonight as we're talking. The game tips off Thursday. And so we'll see if OKC closes out or we get pushed to the
I would almost tell you, Brandon, OKC's got to close it. You can't take Nikola. You can't let Nikola Jokic and this Denver Nuggets team get it to Game 7. That's scary. You just can't let that happen.
This is a big milestone for such a young OKC team to be able to close out such an experienced team in the Thunder with Westbrook, with Joker, with Murray and Gordon. They've been there and they've done it. They've climbed the mountaintop and they've won it. So to close out a team like this is it's going to be hard. It's extremely hard.
This is going to be a wild game.
The games have been always kind of back and forth. So the Nuggets are going to come out hard.
Like I said, each team's blown each other out once, and then everything else has been damn near close in final possession.
The way for me to see it,
I just think if you're OKC, you can't let this go to Game 7. You have to end this shit now.
How do you see the Nuggets winning tonight?
Winning tonight, I think you just throw everything in the world at
is there one person in particular you think has to pretty much go off with Joker or do you think it might be multiple players?
They need Michael Porter Jr. to step up.
Okay, well that's not happening.
No, but they need him obviously with the shoulder injury. Jamal Murray has to be better.
I think it comes down to Jamal Murray. If Jamal Murray
can't go 10-27 like he did in Game 5. That's unacceptable.
If Jamal Murray could recapture 3 years, just think you're playing the Lakers.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's their best chance to win with the sprinkling of Westbrook and Jamal.
But if you're OKC and you need this to win, you need Jay Williams, you need Alex Caruso defensively, and SGA has to be super efficient. I'm talking upper 50%.
If I'm OKC, I'm just letting Joker get his.
That's kind of how I'd go about it.
This game, I'm kind of letting Joker. I'm making it hard on him, I'm making Joker work on both ends, tiring the 265-pound man out.
Because again, in Game 5, he had 44 points. It was his most efficient game of the series, and they lost.
Yeah, that's kind of my game.
And that's the shittiest thing for Nikola Jokic. That is a shitty stat that I don't like that is on his resume. All his massive games, they lost.
That's what happens when a elite big man does not have an elite guard to play with.
But that is the NBA playoffs. One last thing I want to talk about. Well, I want to throw at you because we've talked about it previously. If the Denver Nuggets do lose this game and they are eliminated, does Nikola Jokic want out of Denver?
No.
Does he want to leave?
No.
So much turmoil going on right now with this team.
No, he'll have a say in the GM and the head coach. And
or does he tell everybody, you got to ship out Murray, Porter Jr.'s got to go.
I don't.
You got to bring in another.
He's not that kind of guy. They're not going to ask him about his input. The owner will. And the owner's going to handpick who he wants as the coach and the GM. The head coach and GM be hired together. They'll be able to get along. And I think they'll see some movement. I think you could see. Porter Jr., you can see him get moved in the offseason. Maybe Jamal Murray. There'll be some shakeup on the roster for sure, but Joker's not going anywhere.
You don't think he wants out?
No, he doesn't want out.
You sure?
This isn't a guess. I'm 100% sure.
Would you be shocked if he got moved? Or if he asked out? Will that,
I died. That's not, I died. He's not going anywhere. It's... Not unless they just want to move him. But he's not going anywhere. There's no drama. There's nothing saying that he wants out. There's talk about, he might like to play with this guy maybe someday in his career.
Yeah.
But, no, he's not going anywhere.
Okay, that's fair. I was just curious what you think.
No, he's not.
He's not going nowhere. Okay.
Stop trying to cause clickbait.
I'm not trying to cause clickbait. I'm not trying to cause. I'm just trying to ask you, does the reigning, defending MVP currently at this moment want a different situation?
No.
Because you've talked about his guard play has been very underwhelming.
No, I can't help that. And they're still on the semifinals.
They're still there. Again, that is the playoffs in round 2. Like I said, we're just kind of waiting on these teams to finish up so we can get to the Western and Eastern Conference Finals. And that's really where Brandon says the money talks for some of these players.
Well, yeah.
Potentially, if Denver gets eliminated, someone's getting their first ring.
Well, if Denver gets eliminated and the Celtics do get eliminated, somebody's getting their first NBA championship.
And that is going to change the way we view them.
Potentially.
Who, again, okay, last one. Who does it help change your view on more? Like, say, does Tyrese Halliburton get a first ringer and Jalen Brunson or SGA? Who does that help more?
I think it helps Jalen Brunson more just because the market that he's in. But, like, you're going to talk, like, if Ant gets one, that just propels him to be in the face.
The face? That's
like,
right.
He doesn't, quote-unquote, want it. But, like, everybody he
Yeah.
looks like Michael Jordan. It makes me gooey inside. I mean, he might be Michael Jordan, something we don't know. But I think the one that, like, face the league-wise, or, like, the biggest thing overall for the league would be Ant getting it for Minnesota to be huge. But for somebody that honestly would just own New York until somebody else did something would be Brunson.
That's fair.
I mean, like, the Knicks fans are just starved.
You're not wrong. But, like I said, thank you for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys next week.